let's just get right to the point and move into page 121 through 13 of the Oklahoma Driver's Manual. And we are going to get on over there right now. I think I did that right. No, I didn't. There we go. And then we will, let's see what I got here. Yes, yes, I've got this right here. Everybody can see the screens that I'm pulling up. And I want to zoom in on this right here, and I'm going to give you some information here on section 1, combination. Well, we went through this already. So the next part is going to be CDL endorsements. So these are the separate endorsements that you can get on your license. All commercial drivers who drive certain types of vehicles or haul certain types of cargo must add endorsements to their CDL license and commercial learner's permit, or the CLP, to show that they have the specialized knowledge required for these operations. There are 6 kinds of CDL endorsements that may be required depending on the vehicle or type of cargo. The only endorsements that can be put on a commercial learner's permit are passenger, which I'm not going to teach anything about passengers besides what's in the general knowledge, and school bus, and I'm not going to teach anything about the school buses except for what's in general knowledge to get your Class A CDL. The other one that you can put on your commercial learner's permit is tank, or the N endorsement. Uh, the other endorsements that we're going to talk about are after you get your learner's permit, you can go take your CDL doubles and triples. So if you're going to go to work for an LTL company such as Southeastern, Saia, uh, used to be Conway, now it's XBO, but if you're going to pull for one of those large companies, then you will need a doubles and triples endorsement. You will need a hazardous material endorsement. And you will also need a tank endorsement if you're carrying bulk cargo of over 1,000 gallons in the back of a van trailer even. I know that sounds kind of strange, but I'll get into that later. Many drivers who are qualified to drive a Class A vehicle may wish to pull doubles or triples. Research shows that considerable additional knowledge and skill are necessary to safely pull doubles and triples trailers in a various traffic conditions and driving environments. Consequently, adding the endorsement to the license of a Class A driver is necessary if they wish to pull doubles or triple trailers. A special knowledge examination of the problems associated with pulling multiple trailers must be passed. Now, there's only certain states that you can pull triples in. Oklahoma is one of them. And as a matter of fact, we can pull two 53-foot trailers down the road as long as it stays on the turnpike or a 4-lane divided highway. Remember that, might be on the test. The next endorsement is the tank vehicle endorsement, or the N. You'll have a little N in your driver's license. Drivers of any commercial motor vehicle that is designed to transport any liquid or gaseous materials within a tank, or tanks having an individual rated capacity of more than 119 gallons and an aggregate weighting capacity of 1,000 gallons or more, that is either permanently or temporarily attached to the vehicle or the chassis, must contain the endorsement, must obtain the endorsement. It applies to Class A, B, and C, only applicable to a Class C if the vehicle is hauling hazardous material. Vehicle uh, hazardous material vehicles. Liquids in bulk cause driving control problems because of the cargo is heavy. It is prone to shifting and has a high center of gravities. These drivers must pass a special knowledge test examination on the problems posed by large volume liquid cargoes to add the endorsement to their CDL or CLP learner's permit. Passengers. I'm going to read this even though I'm not going to really teach, but this is what the passenger endorsement gives you the right to do. Drivers who wish to drive a vehicle having a design capacity to carry 16 or more people, including the driver, must add a passenger endorsement to their CDL commercial learner's permit. They must pass a special knowledge examination of safety considerations when transporting passengers and must pass skills tests in a passenger vehicle. In other words, whenever you take the driving test, you need to do that in the type of vehicle that you will be driving. So if you're planning on driving a school bus, then you need to take the driving test in a school bus. The endorsement applies to applicants who wish to drive a bus in any class, A, B, or C. The next one is a hazardous material endorsement. This one has a lot of rules and regulations, especially after September 11th, 2001. Any drivers, regardless of the vehicle class group, A, B, or C, who wish to haul any material that has been designated as hazardous under 49 USC 5103 and is required to be placarded under subpart F of 49 CFR and part 172, or any quantity of that material listed as a select agent or the toxin 42 CFR part 73, must add a hazardous material endorsement to the CDL. She or he must pass a special written examination on how to recognize, handle, and transport hazardous materials. The Transportation Security Administration, boom, there it is, TSA. After September 11th, these regulations were added to the manual, and the U.S. Department of Transportation require background checks on commercial drivers who are certified to transport hazardous materials. The background checks include a review of criminal, immigration, and FBI records. If the driver is found to represent a security threat, TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, will notify the person, and the state will deny issuance of the endorsement of hazardous material. Now, the other one is a combination hazardous material and tank vehicle. So if you get the tank endorsement and you get the hazardous material endorsement, you will no longer have the N and yeah, you won't have the N and the H on your endorsement. It combines it and it'll be an X. Drivers of tank vehicles who haul hazardous materials or waste in the amount requiring placards must add an X endorsement to their CDL showing that they have passed the special knowledge examinations for both tank vehicles and hazardous materials. So in that case right there, if you're pulling a fuel tanker, a gasoline tanker, or you're pulling a vehicle that has a bulk tank that attaches to the back of it, then you will need to not only take the tank endorsement, you'll also need to take the X. And there's some other, if you're pulling large bulk tanks in the back of a van, they require you to get a tank endorsement as well. So you can put a large tanker in the back of a van. You would need to get a tank endorsement to pull that. For like an LTL company, for instance, they might have a 7,000 gallon tank they pick up at a chemical yard, and you're going to need that. The other one is a school bus. Driver, and that endorsement is the letter S on your driver's license. Drivers who wish to drive a school bus must add a school bus endorsement to their CDL. They must pass a special knowledge examination on safety considerations when transporting passengers in a school bus and must pass skills tests in a school bus. So if you're going to drive a school bus, you need to take the test in the school bus. The endorsement applies to applicants who wish to drive a school bus in any class, A, B, or C. In addition to these 6 required endorsements, states may add special endorsements of their own as they see fit. Restrictions. Restrictions may be added to a commercial driver's license permit based upon the type of vehicle and equipment that the driver uses for the skills test. There are 10 standardized restrictions. Note, if a CLP is issued with a passenger, P, that's the endorsement, and CLP stands for uh, commercial learner's permit, or a school bus endorsement. It must also contain a P, no passengers in a CMV bus restriction. If a commercial learner's permit is issued with a tanker in endorsement, it must also contain an X, no cargo in a commercial motor vehicle tank vehicle. So these are going to be the restrictions. An E is no manual transmission. If an applicant performs the skills test in a vehicle equipped with an automatic transmission, which seems to be a more common truck these days, if you can get to a school that can give you a test and teach you how to drive a 10-speed, In my opinion, you're going to be a lot better off. You're not going to have any restrictions, and just about any company will hire you. But I do believe that a lot of the trucking companies are going to automatics because it's so hard to find drivers now. They're trying to do everything they can to make it easy. And so that's one of the. But if you take your test in an automatic, you're not going to be able to drive a standard. That E restriction will keep you from doing that. K is interstate only. Now, I had this restriction. I actually got it back on there, but the K is what I got when I was 18 years old, interstate only. In other words, you can only stay in the state that you can't go over the state lines. I think one of the main things, if you're 18 years old in the state of Oklahoma, you can get your CDL, but you cannot go over the state lines, and you cannot pull hazardous materials, and you cannot pull passengers. Uh, if an applicant certifies their status as either non-accepted interstate or accepted interstate, the state must indicate on the CDL, if issued, that person is restricted from operating a CMV in the interstate commerce state. States may impose this restriction for reasons other than those specified above. Okay, no air brakes. This restriction is going to be represented by the letter L. No air brakes equipped CMV. If an applicant does not take or fails the air brake component of the knowledge test or performs a skills test in a vehicle not equipped with air brakes, the state must indicate on the commercial learner's permit or CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from operating CMVs equipped with any types of air brakes. In other words, if you got this restriction and you jump into a truck that has a tractor protection valve, a red or a yellow one, it has air brakes, and you shouldn't be driving or learning in it until you can pass the air brakes test. For this purpose of the skills test and the restriction, air brakes include any braking system operating fully or partially on the air brake principle. Now, the next one is an M. So, no class, a passenger vehicle. No class A, passenger vehicle. If an applicant applies for a passenger endorsement, performs the skills test in the passenger vehicle requiring a Group B CDL, the state must indicate on the CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from operating a passenger vehicle requiring a Group A CDL. Another restriction is N, no Class A and B passenger vehicle. If an applicant applying for a passenger endorsement performs a skill test in a passenger vehicle requiring a Group C CDL, the state must indicate on the CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from operating a passenger vehicle requiring a Group or B CDL. The other one is O. This is a restriction, no tractor trailer CMV. If an applicant performs a skills test in a combination vehicle for a Group Class A CDL with a power unit and towed unit connected with a pintle hook or a non-fifth wheel connection, the state must indicate on the CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from operating a tractor trailer combination connected by a fifth wheel and requires a Group A CDL. An applicant who passes a skills test using a combination vehicle that is not a truck tractor semi-trailer combination, but is otherwise equipped with a fifth wheel, will be issued a CDL with an O restriction. The next restriction is P, no passenger in a CMV bus. A CLP holder with a P endorsement is prohibited from operating a CMV carrying passengers other than federal state auditors and inspectors, test examiners, and other trainees, and the CDL holder accompanying the CLP holder as prescribed by CFR 383.25 of this part. Now, a CLP holder with a S endorsement is prohibited from operating a school bus with passengers other than federal state auditors and inspectors, test examiners, other trainees, and the CDL holder accompanying the CLP holder as prescribed by the CFR 383.25. Commercial Learner's Permit is what CLP stands for. CDL stands for Commercial Driver's License, in case you're wondering what all these acronyms are that I keep using. The next one is a V, a medical variance. If the state is notified, according to 383.73, that the driver has been issued a medical variance, the state must indicate the existence of such medical variance on the CDLIS, driver record, and the commercial driver's license document. If issued using the restriction code V to indicate there is information about a medical variance on the CDLIS driver's record. X endorsement, no cargo in CMV tank vehicle. Uh, a commercial learner's permit holder with an N endorsement may only operate an empty tank vehicle and is prohibited from operating any tank vehicle that previously contained hazardous materials that has not been purged or of any residue. So I'm going to go into this one here in a little bit of detail, just so you know that you, when you got your commercial learner's permit, you can drive a tanker truck as long as it's clean and it's been purged and there's no hazardous material in it. You cannot pull a loaded tanker with a CLP. Only a CDL can you pull a loaded tanker. The next one is going to be a Z endorsement. So no full air brake equipped CMV. If an applicant performs the skills test in a vehicle equipped with air over hydraulic brakes, the state must indicate on the CDL, if issued, that the person is restricted from operating a CMV equipped with any braking system operating fully on air brakes or on the air brake principle. For the purposes of the skills test and the restriction, air over the hydraulic brakes includes any braking system operating partially on the air brake and partially on the hydraulic brake principle. Any additional jurisdictional restrictions that apply to the commercial learner's permit driving privilege. To get a CDL or a CLP, to get a CDL or a CLP, you must pass knowledge and skills test. This manual will help you in that. So if you got this CDL study manual you can get off the Oklahoma website, this is going to help you out in learning how to pass all of the general knowledge, air brakes, the endorsements, everything. And I'm going to go through this whole thing over the next year and detail it out page by page. Uh, Formal training is most reliable way to learn the many skills required for safely driving a large commercial vehicle and becoming a professional driver in the trucking industry. Figure 1-1 helps you determine if you need a CDL. Now, this right here is going to be what you need. Basically an overview of the video before this and now. So you're going to ask yourself, is the gross combination weight rating 26,000 pounds or more? Well, if you're driving a Class A, you're looking at driving an 80,000 pound vehicle. So the answer to that is yes. If you're not doing that, you would say no. But I'm going to take the Class A route all the way, because if you get your Class A, you don't have to worry about B, C, and D licenses, because your Class A, you can drive anything you want. So we're going to say yes. Is the gross vehicle weight rating of the trailer towed unit 10,000 pounds or more? The answer is yes. So you're going to do a Class A. Now, to recap, if the gross vehicle weight rating of the power unit is 26,000 pounds or more pounds, then you need to have a Class B. Is the vehicle transporting hazardous materials in a placable quantity? If the answer is yes, then you need to take the hazmat endorsement test. Is the vehicle designed to transport 16 or more passengers, including the driver? If yes, this would be the school bus and passenger endorsement, and this would be a Class C. Now, like I said, we're going to study for the big license up here. If you get the Class A license, and you know what you're learning here, you can take the knowledge you get from these videos and you can get the Class B if you want, but why not go all the way and get the Class A, and then you don't have to worry about it. You can drive anything you need. Gross combination weight rating, GCWR, goes in the acronyms we saw in a video ago. Means the value specified by the manufacturer of the power unit if the value is displayed on the Federal Motor Carriers Vehicle Safety Standards, FMVSS, certification label, or the sum of the gross vehicle weight rating or the gross vehicle weight rating or the power unit and the towed unit of any combination thereof, that the product that produces the highest value. Now, the underlined and italicized text above is for use by roadside enforcement only, for the purposes of determining whether the driver vehicle is subject to CDL regulations. It is not used to determine whether a vehicle is representative for the purposes of skills testing. Gross vehicle weight rating means the value specified by the manufacturer as the loaded weight of the single vehicle. And what that means is that an empty semi truck with a trailer is going to weigh about 30,000 pounds. Now, when it's saying it's the gross vehicle weight rating, so a semi is rated for 80,000. So don't get that confused by thinking about the weight of your truck. I mean, you're not going to take your test in a truck that weighs 80,000 pounds. An empty truck will weigh anywhere between 28,000, that's the truck and the trailer, to 35,000. It all depends on the size of the tractor. Uh, you can bet you're probably going to be practicing in your school with a truck that weighs approximately 30,000 pounds or 15 tons. Now, it says on the bottom here, note a bus may be Class A, B, or C, depending on whether or not the gross vehicle weight rating is over 26,001 pounds or is a combination vehicle. Now, I'm just gonna go kind of light on that because I'm not, like I said, I'm not teaching the bus part or the passenger endorsements. And for that right there, we will commercial driver's license test. We're gonna save this for the other part of the next video that I do. But that kind of goes through and tells you what all the restrictions and endorsements are of the CDL license. And you have yourself a good day. And let me change this right here while I got everybody. Uh, because that still says 1-1 up there. But we're going to change this page if I can remember which one I'm on here. So we're going to go to the text, and yes, that's the text I want. And so we are now at 1-3.